In this video, we're going to learn how to play Burgmullers by the Limpid stream like a boss. Alright, and welcome to the first part of this tune we're going to learn here. This is by the Limpid stream by Burgmuller, and it is a great tune if you are just past beginner level. If you're like a complete beginner, maybe not, but I got you covered. I have, if you go look in the notes, I have a free course for beginners for you to check out. I used to sell it for $99, but I'm making it free. So I got you covered there. But if you're a beginner that's a little bit past beginner, but not quite to advanced or even intermediate, the solid intermediate, this is a perfect piece. And what we're going to take a look at first, we're going to go through the notes. We're going to look at the notes real fast. And we're going to look at two things here. When we first look at this piece, we're going to look at the time signature and the key signature. Now, the time signature is that little C, common time, which is 4/4, so it's going to be pretty easy to count. And the 1 sharp, F sharp means we're in G. That being said, and by the way, if this is foreign to you as well, note reading, I got you covered there too. Check the notes. So we know this is in G and it's in 4/4, and we're just going to take a look at, let's look at the left hand first. Usually the left hand is sometimes harder for people to get, so we'll look at that. Well, this is easy. We got down here the G and a D. Your left hand never moves. It just goes. So for this first section of this piece, I mean, this is all it is. I mean, you can't get much better than that. So we'll look at the right hand now. This is where we got most of the movement. Now this movement makes it sound like you're playing a complicated piece, but it's really not that bad. So we're going to do this real slow. If you look in your score, we'll go through, let's see, measure 1 and 2. And we'll just take it real slow and make sure we got the right notes. Notice the fingers. We're going to place our fingers correctly. I have a 1, 2, and 4 here. I have my 4 here because I'm going to use the 5, and I don't want to do any jumping. If I did a 5 here, I'd have to jump when I go to the A. I don't want to do that. I want to keep your hands not having to move as much as possible. So we'll go. All right. So the notes aren't too terribly bad for this tune. And so that's pretty much how you want to do it. You want to do it slow. And then when you're doing it slow together, you're going to go. One thing I want to show you on that run up, notice how I move my hand when we do this rising section. Notice the thumb. Now, when it's ready to move that thumb, I move the thumb up versus jumping. We don't want to jump. We want to, when it's ready to move that thumb, get it in position. If you can see that, it's. My thumb is already there. And it's right there to play. Thumb is already there. Thumb is already there. So think about that when you're learning this, because that's going to help you have your fingers ready to play. So the notes aren't too bad. So that's kind of how you want to practice that. Hands together or hands separately to start, and then hands together real slow, just like that. But now here, we're just going to jump right into section 2 of this tutorial, because this is the real meat. This is what I wanted to show you guys. We're going to get into the dynamic characteristics of this, which is going to really take this piece a long way. Now, the first thing we see some words up here, allegro vivace, and that means fast, basically. It's pretty quick. But we don't want to be off to the races with this tune, because we think of it's called, it's a stream. you know? So it's like we're thinking of I don't know, some kind of a babbling brook or something, you know, we gotta think about that. We don't want it too fast, but it's not too slow either. So kind of a decent pace like I kind of showed you in the beginning of the video. Now, the dynamic markings right away you want to see is a double P and then the memorando, and that means gently. So we have soft, we're going to be real quiet and gentle, like a stream when we start this out. So we'll kind of play it slow here. We're going to be so you see that we're just going to start it out quiet, it's gentle, and then you notice when we get into measure 2, there's a crescendo. So as you go up, when you rise in pitch, we're going to get louder. And we're loudest here, which isn't loud, but it's going to be the loudest of anything else. We're really getting that message out. As we go back down, then we're getting quieter, diminish. You can see that in measure 4. Diminish back down to double P. Quiet again. And then we get louder. And we're kind of loud here. Okay? So those are the major points. Now, notice this run up. I want you to see the fingers there. Some scores, whatever score you have, they might have suggestions. Sometimes they're good, but it depends on the size of your hand. I have a bigger hand, so I can get away with using my 4 on this G up here. If you notice, but in the score, my score, it suggests going 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5 to end that out at the last section there. I can get away with the 4 if you can. I think it's easier to play, so we're gonna go. Have the thumb up there ready. Now, one of the biggest things about this piece, what you want to try to bring out, is the melody line. Now, maybe some of you have figured out what the melody line is already, but maybe you just think all the notes are just kind of the piece all together. Well, that's not what we're after here. You notice all these little notes, and the note head is pointed downward here, and then they go pointed upward after they hit the third line, like a measure 3. If you see that, that's the melody line, and it's this. Now, it's not supposed to be disconnected like that, but I'm playing my thumb because that's usually what's playing it, and we're going to have the pedal. So this is this is what you want to hear. Now, what makes that tricky is you're playing all these other notes. And so where you are going to be playing this like a boss, because not everybody's going to take the necessary time to learn this like you are, you're going to have an advantage because we're going to learn that right now. Now, a way to try it, it's tough to play when you're just learning stuff like this. One note over the other is louder than the other. So a trick that I have done is I play ghost notes, which means they're there, but they're not really there, because you're exaggerating your playing right now, because you're really trying to focus on this melody. You want to practice bringing this out over the others. And then when you feel comfortable at that, like, oh yeah, I got it, then you could go back to bringing the decorative notes in, which is, it's all the other notes besides this. So I'll show you what I mean by ghost notes, and we're going to bring out the melody. Now, you wouldn't want to play it like this live with those other notes being so quiet, but the point is you're going to really get it in your head how that's going to bring out the melody. So it might take a little bit of practice to get used to that, because that is the point of the song. If you're going to play it really well, everything else is decoration, but you're really bringing out this line. So I'll demonstrate it. Do you hear how that melody comes out even though I'm playing the others? That's what you want to be after. Something else to know, I want you to know. And by the way, I have notes for you of everything we're talking about here. So when you can just print it out and you can put this up by the music when you're playing this, so you'll have it right at your fingertips of what we talked about, what you want to do to make this awesome. So I got you covered. So just go ahead. It's in the notes below. Go ahead and download that, and I have all these things written out for you. So the other point I want you to see is these slur lines. See these slurs? These are phrases. So that means we're playing everything connected. We're playing everything connected. That's why I was talking about making your thumb, moving it so you get very little detachment when you move it like that versus all that detachment. You don't want that. So see how I move my thumb up when we have a nice connected line? And that's the point. Then you notice it cuts off between measures 2 and 3. That's okay. Then you can lift, and we're starting the new idea. It's the phrase over again. Okay, here's the new line. And so that's the new line. Every time you see one of those breaks, it's between measure 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. When you see a break like that, that means you can lift, disconnect, and start the new line being all connected. One little thing I want to show you at the end here, we have this little run-up. You can lift that. It's not necessarily major staccato. It's just you're just going to detach that. They have the little dot there off the slur. And then we have the rest. So you don't want to hold it. You want to end it. It's going to be disconnected like that. So these are the main points of this piece. And I'm going to tell you again, if you guys learn this, which I know you're going to do it, you learn these dynamic markings of playing like this, you're going to stand out almost from everybody. A lot of people are going to learn this tune and go like this. All the same. Boring, boring, boring. Versus. And so on. It just makes a big difference. You hear that difference in how that sounds? So download the notes, subscribe, practice this. You're going to have a lot of fun with this. Contact me if you need to, and I'll see you in the next video.